The response I got from the last video was far beyond what I was expecting. The comments were great and offered both recommendations and suggestions for future videos. I'd like to thank everyone for the kind words, and hopefully I can follow up with some videos that you find just as useful. The next couple of videos will be an extension of the previous video, where I'll go into a little bit more depth around the build types that I mentioned. This video will cover the solo build. I'll run you through the thought process and everything you should be considering when making this build. We'll be focusing on the Nomad set, as this is the set that was developed mainly for solo play, and the bonuses it provides really do help keep you alive while learning the basic mechanics of the game. For this reason, I see this set as probably the best beginner set in the game. While you're still mastering the movement and learning how to react in certain situations, this set is by far the most forgiving if you make any mistakes, particularly if you're running solo. But the basics I'll be talking about here can definitely be taken away and used with other sets that you choose to use. I'm not a huge fan of 40-minute videos that provide around 5 minutes of actual information, so I'll be trying to keep this video as concise and informative as possible. If you require more information on anything I mention, or I breeze over anything too lightly, let me know in the comments and I'll try and expand on it further. As per usual, I'll be adding a cheat sheet or quick reference guide to the end of this video that will sum up everything discussed here. Before I get into the build, I want to talk about the NinjaBike messenger bag. This exotic backpack was introduced to the game with a hugely underwhelming unique bonus. It was the joke among exotics. Over time, all of the exotics have been tweaked in one way or another, but the NinjaBike got a complete revamp. As of patch 1.7, the NinjaBike messenger bag new bonus is slots in with any equipped gear set to fulfill a requirement towards unlocking a gear sets bonus. Can unlock bonuses from multiple sets simultaneously. Essentially, this makes the NinjaBike a sort of wildcard for sets. It's able to fulfill a set bonus requirement with the potential to provide this requirement for multiple gear sets at the same time. For example, if you had 3 pieces of Nomad, 2 pieces of Tacticians, and the NinjaBike equipped, the NinjaBike will count as both the 4th piece of Nomad and the 3rd piece of Tacticians, unlocking the 4th and 3rd piece bonus in each set. Note, the NinjaBike cannot be used to apply the 5 or 6 piece bonus with classified pieces. Basically, this exotic item opens up a huge number of build options, and if you don't have one yet, do your best to find one. In a way, it opens you up to the next tier of build options. Knowing full well that a number of you won't have one of these yet, I'll be showing 2 versions of this build, one with the NinjaBike bag and one without. As I mentioned in the last video, these builds will be focused around PvE. The first thing you might notice is that I have 4 pieces of classified Nomad. Because of the stash size and the sheer number of items in the game, I don't have the space for non-classified gear, but the only difference between these and the normal gear sets in this situation is that the stats are slightly higher, so it's still a fairly close indication of the numbers you'll be achieving. This is quite a DPS heavy version of the Nomad build. If you're finding yourself a little too squishy, I'd recommend changing out another one of the main pieces into stamina. Here we have 4-piece Nomad, a specialized backpack, and savage gloves. The Nomad set is the backbone to this build. It offers health on kill, constant heal, and essentially an extra life if you get taken down. The Savage Gloves assist with your damage output, giving you a 7% increase in critical hit chance against targets out of cover. The Specialized Backpack adds 200% of your firearms and stamina to skill power. This might seem a bit strange adding a skill power focused gear piece to a predominantly toughness and firearms build, but I've done this for a couple of reasons. 1, at this stage of the game, there really isn't too many useful high-end gear talents out there. And 2, I'm a big fan of skills. Regardless of build type, they heavily assist my style of play, and the Specialized Backpack can give a pretty decent buff to your skill power when you have mainly firearms and stamina. 3 of the pieces have been rolled into firearms as their main stat, and 2 into stamina. If you're finding yourself a little squishy, you could try running 3 pieces with stamina. Damage to elites is a must for PvE builds, so this has been rolled into the mask and knee pads. Enemy armor damage is also one of the go-to PvE attributes you should be going for. This has been rolled into the chest, mask, and knee pads. Ammo capacity has been rolled onto the chest and backpack. Particularly good for those high rate of fire weapons. Ammo capacity is what we like to call a quality of life perk. You'll thank me later for this one. On the backpack, you'll see I've rolled skill power as the major attribute, when another option in the slot could be extra health. And with this sort of build focusing on sustainability, it would make more sense to go for health, right? Well, let's say we rolled 13,000 into health instead. This would increase our toughness from 403,000 to 423,000. This gives us an increase in toughness of less than 5%. If we gave 13,000 into skill power, it would increase from 121,000 to 134,000, giving us an increase in skill power of just under 10%. Even if we rounded it up to 5%, this really isn't too much of an increase in toughness, especially when we could be instead providing an even larger increase to the intensity and frequency of our skills, of which we are likely to be using at least one healing ability which will further increase our sustainability. This is really just a small taste of how in depth you can go with your builds, and really optimize each slot to your style of play. At the end of the day, whether it be health or skill power, it really isn't going to make or break the build. I'm just trying to show a different way of thinking when you're deciding on what you should roll into each piece. Anyway, the gloves have fairly standard rolls: assault rifle damage, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage. Assault rifle damage should be changed to whatever weapon type you're using as your primary. Critical hit damage could be replaced for enemy armor damage. Either will work well. Skill haste has been rolled onto the chest and holster. Skill haste helps get your skills back faster by reducing the cooldown. You could instead roll critical hit chance on the holster if you'd like a little bit more damage. Here we're running 3-piece Nomad, 2-piece Predator's Mark, and the NinjaBike messenger bag. With the NinjaBike we gain the 4-piece Nomad and the 3-piece Predator's Mark bonuses. The 3-piece Predator's Mark gives you a plus 10% reload speed and a plus 8% assault rifle and SMG damage. Combined, these give quite a good boost to the amount of damage you can do over time. Without the NinjaBike, you'd only be gaining the 2-piece Predator's Mark bonus, plus 10% reload speed, and this alone really isn't worth trading in the Savage Gloves and Specialized Backpack for. Not an impressive build, but sticking to the Nomad theme of this video, it gives you a good idea of what the NinjaBike can do for you and the types of sets you can start mixing together. Instead of Predator's Mark, you may choose to use something like 2-piece Tacticians, which will balance out your build a bit, providing a bit more in the way of skill power and skill haste. The weapons are up to you. Use whatever you feel comfortable with. Games of this nature will always have a meta, but as of 1.8 there really isn't such a huge gap between the current meta, the lightweight M4, and anything else you choose to use. More important is picking a weapon with the right attributes. Most of my builds will either use an M4 variant of the assault rifle or an SMG, as I prefer the higher rate of fire weapons as my primary. Here I'm using a lightweight M4 due to the gloves I'm wearing, plus 12% assault rifle damage. But an SMG would work too, because this build is quite capable of getting up close and personal. The main difference between M4s and SMGs would be that SMGs have better handling, but require you to be a little bit closer than assault rifles because of the damage drop-off. The talents I've chosen are Predatory, killing a target regenerates 35% health over 20 seconds. Responsive, damage is increased by 10% when closer than 10 meters to the target. And Unforgiving, missing health segments increase your damage. Predatory will further increase health on kill, Responsive and Unforgiving for an increase in damage. Unforgiving works quite well with Nomad because you can really push the limits of your health bar due to the constant healing and the fact that the 4-piece bonus will pick you up if you do leave it a bit too late. There are a bunch of other talents that'll work quite well with this build too, but I'd definitely try to at least get Predatory if you can. It's one of the most helpful talents in the game when it comes to sustainability in PvE. The mods on this weapon are mainly around adding both critical hit chance and damage, and a little bit of stability. If you're running an SMG instead, I'd focus on all critical hit damage, as SMGs come with a high amount of base critical hit chance, and are quite easy to handle. I usually like to have a ranged weapon as my secondary so I can keep my options open, particularly when running solo, plus I'm a big fan of sniping. The headshot sound in this game never gets old. But you may choose instead to run with another close to medium combat weapon. The skills are Booster Shot and Tactical Pulse. Booster Shot will give you a small heal, but the main reason for running this is the 15% weapon damage and 7.5% damage resistance. Tactical Pulse will further increase your damage output in the way of critical hit chance and damage, but will also help you be a bit more aware of the enemies around you. If you're going to be venturing into the Dark Zone for a bit of farming, make sure you change out the Tactical Pulse for a Scrambler Pulse. This will help keep you a little more hidden from other players. The talents are Critical Save, Strike Back, and On the Move. These will assist with survivability, and Precision for another increase in damage. I'm running Firearms Damage to Elite mods. Don't be put off by the fact these are purple mods. The main stat is a little lower than the golds, but the Damage to Elites bonus is huge in PvE. Keep an eye on the vendors each week. I'd recommend stocking up on Firearms, Stamina, and Electronics Damage to Elite mods. While I'm at it, bookmark this page. Ruben and his team do an awesome job for the community. Each week they run around to each vendor on the map, recording what's for sale. I'll leave a link in the description. For the performance mods, I'd recommend First Aid Self-Heal. These will just help you get a little bit more out of your first aid skill. The key to this build as it's currently set up is, as long as you're getting kills, you're staying alive. You have a decent amount of health on kill with this set, and predatory on your weapon. The damage to elites, enemy armor damage, and damage dealing perks on your weapon will be more than enough to quickly drop most enemies. Health on kill along with the 4-piece set bonus that Nomad gives allows you to be a bit more reckless with your playstyle. The most difficult content will require you to utilize more cover, as you probably won't be able to drop the enemies as quickly as they can focus you down. This is a solid, robust set at any skill level, but be careful with becoming too reliant on the 4-piece bonus. It can make things difficult for you when you choose to transition to other builds. You shouldn't have any problems running this build through challenging missions, underground, HVTs, and dark zone farming. You can even try it out on the legendary Times Square mission, but I probably wouldn't recommend it, you'll have a rough time. It's also not really suited for resistance. I ran the non-NinjaBike version solo and managed to open a couple of the resistance chests, gaining a couple of classified pieces, but it was pretty tough. In the next video I plan on talking about skill power builds. These are pretty fun, and once you've gained a bit of experience with being able to keep yourself alive, you'll be able to tackle some of the more difficult content with the massive damage you can get out of your skills. Anyway, if this has helped in some way, please let me know. I'm pretty keen to keep this going as a series, but obviously only if people are finding it useful. Thanks again for all the feedback, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!
Don't like the looks of this.